Welcome back, listening audience, to the WTTA Guns and Mental Health podcast. Kevin, how have you been, man? It's been a while.
Doing good. It's been a few weeks off, holiday, and some life in between, but doing good.
Yeah, I'm finally coming out of my fog. Our some of our listening audience knows I and John, I don't know if you knew this, but I have a dog. I had a dog that was like the love of my life, and she had leukemia, and it was acute, and literally like 3 weeks of trying to keep her alive and on this planet, $13,000 in vet bills. She finally passed. I thought I was ready for it, but I really wasn't. I was not prepared for it. So my mental health the last like week and a half was off, but it kind of feels good to be back like in this chair and actually starting to work again to keep my mind off of it. So, it is what it is. Um, but it's just another reminder that, something can mess up your mental health really bad and throw you off. And you just got to be aware of that when it happens and find the things that make you, uh, heal and get back on track. And everything is temporary, right? Like, so every day that goes by, it's gotten easier, but here we are. I'm excited for today's guest, John Fahrner. He is the Deputy Director of Corporate Relationships, right? Like,
yeah,
I guess you go out and you look for partners for GOA.
yeah.
And basically what I want to do is I want to really unpack what GOA is, because I think you guys are very misunderstood by people outside of the gun community. And I think you're a rising star inside of the gun community. I want to talk about goals today. I want to talk about the big, beautiful bill, but I want to start off with you. How did you get involved in the firearms industry?
Oh man. So my first involvement in the firearms industry was in 2012, right after Sandy Hook. I started working behind the gun counter at a big box store. Uh, left the left that store, went and worked for another big box store that ended up going bankrupt. Then decided to go work for a gun range and run their social media down in Columbus, Ohio. And then I got a job. I got a job with Facts and Firearms and was worked there for 2 years and went over, did some ammo stuff with an ammo company. And now I'm at GOA. When I got the call, I've been in this space for about 12 years now, between behind the gun counter and working for manufacturers. When I got the call from GOA saying, "Hey, we're looking for somebody," I finally said, "Hey, I got to put my money where my mouth is." I've been talking about the Second Amendment and fighting for the Second Amendment through all these other avenues. Now is to join the fight and actually do it. So 12 years of working in the industry I've learned a ton. And from the nonprofit advocacy side, like, there's so many things I learned from the industry side that I've brought over to help strengthen our partnership deals, to work with our partners to expand GOA as a whole when it comes to, networking with the industry and building our industry program, which is still in its infancy, since recently started in 21, and we're almost 50 years old. So that is how long we went without working with corporate partners, and we decided now is the time to bring them into the fold, because we're winning all these lawsuits on their behalf.
Yeah, that's awesome. So before you started working at that counter, did you consider yourself like a gun guy?
I was just getting into it. As a kid, guns were a thing in the household. My dad went hunting. My first experience with a firearm was shooting a Red Ryder. I had a Red Ryder for the longest time that I shot all the time, like most of us did. And my dad was a quote unquote a gun guy, but not a gun guy. So as I learned about it and things like that, and kind of grew into it, my first passion when I went to college was to go be a aerospace systems engineer, because I wanted to go work on fighter crafts and things like that. My uncle was part of the what is it, the Mercury rocket and the Star Wars project back in the 80s. So I wanted to kind of follow in his footsteps. And then I realized really quick I'm not that good at math. Calc 2 kind of kicked my butt. So I decided to go into marketing and things like that. And then I really started getting into firearms. And now, I wish I was a firearms engineer on the inside, but also I'm really good at networking and talking to people and marketing. So uh, that I became a gun guy around 2011. To the infancy of YouTube really kind of influenced the way I wanted to go. I had my best friend in college was into it. We both bought our first guns around the same time, and I'm going to date myself. I bought an $89 Mosin Nagant. If you can find a Mosin Nagant for $89, good luck.
Right. It's like a
So
relic.
yeah, I know. That was my first purchase of a firearm, and then I kind of just exploded from there, got into it, really got into the space, um, started working behind the counter, got into it more, uh, started running social media and YouTube for that gun range, and then decided, as I grew and continued to get into this, I like, you can't just have one gun, you need like 500. So I kept buying and doing things, and then recently, like I said, I joined GOA. I've got my own YouTube channel that I do with a co-host who is my old director of marketing from my last previous two jobs. So I'm just became that gun guy over time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always say, like, once you're in the industry, people tend not to leave it. I always say that the people don't change, it's the banner behind them that changes, right? Like we just seem to navigate and stay in the world. And it's a small industry for how big it is, you know. And it gives a lot of chances. So it's kind of cool that you transition that way. So when you went to work for GOA, Gun Owners of America, um, what was your thought process there? Like how did that happen? How did that come about?
Well, long story short, I was kind of unhappy where I was, and I reached out to Monty Bowen and Kaylee Neiman, who Monty's are. Uh, I met them like 2 years previously at an event, and I was talking to Monty at another event about how
It looks like John is frozen.
We knew he was a little jet lagged, but he might have lagged out.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it wouldn't be a WTTA podcast without technology getting in the way of something awesome.
We'll give him a few minutes to reconnect. Yeah.
So GOA is really interesting. Like they are at every show that I attend. It's crazy the presence they have. I mean, they go to even the smallest gun shoots. Um, I've seen them at the Attorneys for Freedom event, right? And then the Gathering, which is Palmetto State Armory's, um, 2-day shoot. They have a presence everywhere. Um, it's just I didn't even realize there was 50-year history. Like, and I'm in the gun industry. It's kind of wild that they haven't started kind of tackling what he was just talking about sooner. It's kind of impressive though to have that, to be able to, have that staying power and fight all these lawsuits and get into the fight for the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
It's kind of a testament.
And they were on that panel you did at the Bursa booth at SHOT, right? Or at least
Yeah.
one member of it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And, they're really doing it. I mean, they're in the fight, which is just awesome. A lot of us in this industry talk about what we do and, the actual right to own a firearm, but a lot of us still don't really do anything about it. Like we're not showing up at the capitals. We're not, there's a lot of behind the scene things that GOA does. And hopefully John can come back to us and talk about that because I really want to highlight that. Because somebody has to fight these ridiculous laws that get passed, the feel good legislation.
Yeah. It's interesting too. Looks like he's coming back in here. Let's see if he can connect. He's back.
I'm
He's
back.
alive. There. You were just about to get into like you name dropped a couple people that you said you had gotten in touch with. So take it from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, sorry about that, but Cox Internet is amazing. Anyways,
Don't get me started. that's who's up here. So
so yeah, so how I got into GOA. I was unhappy where I was at, and my boss, who's also my co-host, had already left the company we were working at. And I called, ran into Monty Bowen, who I had met 2 years earlier at Red October at an event. And I said, "Hey, man, I'm looking for a job. I'm looking to move around the industry a little bit." And he goes, "Hey, call Kaylee, who's the director of development and marketing over at GOA, who I also had met previously at an event and had come to a couple events that I've run." And she's like, "Hey, are you serious about coming and working for a nonprofit? We'd love to have you over." And at first, my mind was like, "Do I really want to go work for a nonprofit? Is it something I want to do?" Because it's firearms industry related or adjacent. And I thought that, sat down, and I said, "Self, you talk about the Second Amendment, you preach it, you go in and tell people to continue the fight and fight for these things. Now it's time to put your money where your mouth is." So took the job at flew out to DC in early July of 23 and met with John Valleco, the senior vice president, and Eric Pratt, who's the no, Eric Pratt's the senior vice president. John Valleco's the executive vice president. Had a meeting with them, got the job offer, came home, looked at my wife and said, "I'm going to go work for GOA." So decided to go work for them, and July 31st will be 2 years at GOA, and I'm super happy with my choice and being able to get into the fight.
yeah, that really speaks to me, and I'll tell you why. Like as somebody who owned a major, gun importer / distributor, like doing this work, I still attend shows. I attend distributor shows. I see you guys at shoots, like we were at the gathering together. Like there's all these shows that I still attend. And like you said, it's adjacent, right? Like we're not the same as like the manufacturer who sets up, like, I was just at Sports South, right? And all my friends, it's like a traveling circus, but it's kind of crazy. I feel like I'm stronger for the industry where I am in this position than I was actually selling hundreds of thousands of guns. There was a part of me that took pride that I was arming Americans and people that wanted to defend themselves and things like that. But really, like the work at Walk the Talk America and what we've accomplished, I'm more proud of that. And I got to think that, you probably have that mentality switch too, right? Like once you started seeing what you guys were accomplishing.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I joined the team, and I forgot this little anecdote. I didn't know I was supposed to be on the GOA podcast until my first day. They hired me to be one of the hosts of the show. So that's State of the Second for those of you who haven't watched it yet. But being on this side of the fight or this side of the industry, it's really changed my thought process because, as you know, when you're on the industry side selling a product, it's always about margins and making sure things go out and calling dealers and things like that. Where from my side now, it's calling companies and talking with all those relationships I made over the years and going, "Hey guys, we've got this bill coming up," or "Hey, we've got this lawsuit coming up. We'd love to have you come on," or "Hey, can you donate some stuff so we can build it?" It seems more satisfying watching the restoration of our Second Amendment rights than going out and selling like 300 ARs to a store and going and talking to them. They're just two different dopamine hits. And there was that sales side where with the 300 ARs in one bit, that was like a month of happiness, and I could eat pretty good. But at this side, I could go in and go, "Hey, look at what we did." Example, the big beautiful build, pistol braces, bump stocks, like all those fights, watching that come in and watching and talking to the guys from the industry who come up to you at shows and go, "Thank you for doing that. You just helped us save our business or helped us get our business going, or things like that. It's just so much more satisfying at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, uh, having said that, like, I was kind of embarrassed. I didn't realize GOA had that long of a history. You know what I mean? Like when you shot that number out, I was kind of like, damn, okay. Like I know it's always been in the background, right? But like that's crazy that you've been around that long fighting these fights.
We like to joke that we're the old young guys on the block, because we are about 50 years old. Um, actually, next year we're going to be turning 50, but we didn't really come into our own until became more mainstream in 2019, 2018, where more people were talking about GOA and what we were doing. And we were happy doing what we were doing. Our whole goal as an organization is to restore the Second Amendment so strong that we put ourselves out of business. That no, we don't need a GOA anymore. Um, which sucks for me because that's job security out the door. But also, like, I want machine guns. I want like suppressors and stuff. Like, let's restore it so it's that good. Uh, but yeah, it's weird when you start telling people, yeah, we've been around for 50 years. They kind of look at you like, what do you mean you've been around for 50 years? I heard about you like 6 years ago.
That's what I'm embarrassed to say it, but like I honestly feel that same way because like I feel like you guys had like a meteoric rise, but it's like, no, we've been here a very long time, right? Like just grinding. But like to me, like you guys shot up. Now, what do you attribute that to? I mean, obviously the hard work. You guys are at every show. Like I see you everywhere. Whether I'm at the Attorneys for Freedom event, whether I'm at um I think I attend a lot of events and you guys are at every single event that I attend. You guys are at MCon. You guys were at the gathering. I saw you at the gathering, and you guys come with energy. Like it's crazy. Everybody that is affiliated with your organization is so high energy and so passionate about talking about the Second Amendment and these fights. What do you attribute though the meteoric rise? It's got probably a lot of things.
It's a lot of things. I mean, if you think about it, I want to say it was like 2015, 2016, the bump stock ban, we were a big proponent of getting that repealed. Um, the other thing is Kaylee, who came on as our director of development and marketing, really pushed us to go to events. She came on around that time frame, so she's been pushing us to go to events and do things. So there's always going to be a GOA president event where we've expanded our events team. Last year alone, I did like 80,000 flight miles to go from event to event, and which is you know crazy in my mind. Going, wow, I flew 80,000 miles in 1 year, and I was in. I've gone to states that I've never gone to just to go be at events. So like South Dakota, we were in the event there. Iowa. Um, Kansas City, Missouri, got into Kansas, all that's like all these states that I wanted to go to and get it to. There's all these events, and just having a presence and being there and letting people know, like, hey, we are there to fight for your rights. And your $25 donation, it's on our 990 shows where all our donations go to. Your $25 donation helps us do what we can do: repeal the bump stock ban, repeal the pistol brace ban, go and fight for the big beautiful bill and gets a $0 tax stamp on both suppressors and SBRs. There's a lot that we do, and without the support of our members, we can't do what we do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and this is what I try to tell people, because I joke around and I say I've turned into a professional beggar, right? Because I got to walk around shows and I say it's like I got to ask people to do the dishes, and then I got to ask, and then I got to want them to want to do the dishes, right? Because when you're just cutting a check or however you're finding a way to support an organization, there's no return on investment except for I'm really proud of the work that I'm investing in, right? Like my $25, my hard $25, I'm good that I gave it to this organization because they're doing great things. And I always tell people that's, if you don't have time to show up at the Capitol, if you don't have time to do these things, that $25 is a lot. It means a lot to organizations like GOA and WTTA, right? Like, because we have to keep the lights on, and you guys are constantly in lawsuits fighting. Like I can't imagine what your expenses are. It's got to be insane. right? I
It
mean,
is.
like,
I mean, and that's the thing. If you want to see what we're doing, you can go to Google, search Gun Owners of America's 990. You can see how much money we spend on lobbying, how much money we spend on lawsuits. You can see how much our top people get paid every year, and we're very transparent about that, showing that this is what we do. We fight on behalf of our members. Without our members, we can't do what we do. So to go out there and fight for our members, that's why if you see the pistol brace injunction that we got, that was for our members. It's because we always sue on behalf of our members and continue the fight. And if if there are times where our lead attorney or one of our attorneys, Rob Olson, will call me and I'll go, dude, how much is this a bro talk, or is this going to cost the organization money? Because I'm very, as a person who works for GOA, we are very cognizant of the money that we spend on, because it is our members' money. It's not our money, it's the members' money who's going there to fight for us. So I'm very cognizant on, if the lawyer calls, how much time am I going to spend on the phone with the lawyer? Is this what we're talking about? Okay, what fights are good? We get thousands of people come in and go, hey, I want to sue on this or this. And we have to pick and choose because there's only so much money at the end of the day for file lawsuits. And is it a winnable case? Is it not a winnable case? Is there something we can do? Um, and at the end of the day, like, the whole thing is to fight on behalf of our members, and we're super proud of doing that.
yeah. So you had mentioned the big beautiful bill, right? The suppressors. Like, what was the role just for the average listener? Because we have gun people that listen to the show. We have therapists that listen to the show. Like, what was walk us through how you handled that situation and were a part of that?
So from the GOA side, we were, I swear, Ben Sanderson and Aiden, who are both from our federal affairs team. You may know Ben from the Minuteman Moment on our YouTube channel. They were up 24 plus hours for the last 2 weeks, going in and talking to senators, talking to congressmen, making sure that the wording is, we gave some of the wording for the bill. You know, was the big beautiful bill a win? Yes. Was it a gut punch at the same time? Yes, because we didn't get the restoration that we truly wanted. And as GOA, we are no compromise. We don't want to compromise on the Second Amendment. So that is why if you haven't noticed, that as soon as the big beautiful bill got signed, we filed a lawsuit to remove suppressors and SBRs and SBSs from the NFA, because we believe in full restoration of the Second Amendment. And I don't want the federal affairs team's job. I don't know if I could go talk to senators and congressmen. I'm not that smart. I don't claim to be smart, but to go there and for them to be on the Hill almost every day for 2 months straight or 3 months straight, whatever the time duration was, they were on the Hill talking to senators, talking to congressmen, getting the wording in, making sure that when that bill passed the House and we only had the HPA on there, going to the Senate and going, hey, we also want short act. Like, let's fight to get short act on there. To when the parliamentarian turned us down, going in and trying to rework the wording so we knew that if we won at least the $0 tax stamp, now it's not a tax issue. Now we can go sue on behalf of our members to get it removed from the NFA. There's so much things that our team was doing, to our comms director, who was constantly putting stuff out, who was working 24 hours. Like, God bless all of them, because they are the true fighters, and I appreciate everything they did. But from
Did we get Cox communication
our,
again? Oh, there you are.
Might be back.
I thought we
yeah,
got coxed again. Hold on.
yeah.
No, go ahead. You were about to, where you cut off for me, at least, as you said, our communications team.
Oh
Like,
yeah, our comms team was working 24 hours as well to get all the information out to our members. So uh I don't want their jobs, because that's a lot of work. I work a lot of hours as it is, between traveling and stuff, but good on them. I mean, that's what they do. They're fighting for our rights, and we put our money where our mouth is, and they're going to be up there 24 hours making sure that this got across the finish line.
so we run into each other all the time at events, right? And we're we're basically like PR people, like just kind of meeting with people, talking with people, like keeping the relationships, the friendships, everything. We water our friendships, right? The people that are out there fighting the fight on the hill, have they ever told you like, man, like people really hate us? And I'm talking about the outsiders that are against the Second Amendment, right? Like there's got to be some crazy stories of people being unhinged, being like those GOA people.
I mean, we get it from time to time at events from just 2A people like, "Oh, you guys, you know, the Second Amendment this," or I support the Second Amendment, but we get that from time to time. But also, the guys on the hill, they're fighting against our organization, fighting against Moms Demand Action and all these other uh, left wing organizations that are pushing to destroy the Second Amendment. So I've heard some stories, I've heard some things from them. I don't repeat them often, but it's true. We are constantly in a battle between the Democratic Party trying to destroy our rights and the organizations that are also trying to destroy our rights. And you know good example of that is just talking about the Biden administration's attack on FFLs and destroying the FFLs. Kind of what I like to call the FFLs and the people behind the gun counter are the lifeblood of the industry. Is us from the industry side, we don't see that as often, or we don't think that as often. But without those people, without the brick and mortars and the online people and all that, we don't have a Second Amendment. You shut down a gun store in rural America, the next nearest gun store may be hours away. So that attack was huge against the Second Amendment, all for small little errors.
Yeah, no, I know that was brutal, right? Compliance, and this is what I hate about the average person in society when it comes to the gun issue, is because they believe that the rhetoric of like it's just like the Wild West and we could sell everything we want and we can do whatever we want. It's easier to buy a gun than it is to check out a library book. Like you go through all the dumb shit that's out there, right? But what people don't realize is there is so much compliance that happens when you get to like importer, distributor, distributor to dealer, dealer to consumer. I mean, as gun people, we're constantly having to watch and monitor and track everything, because when the ATF comes knocking, right, whether you love them or you hate them, you have to be able to explain where everything is, and you can't have mistakes. You can't look at ATF agent in the face whether or not they're on our side or not, because there are ATF agents that are gun people. There really are, but you can't look them in the face and say, well, there's 4 guns missing and we'll get back to you on that. And you know what I mean? Like you got to be on your game, and it's hard when, especially if you have a gun shop and you have, there's a lot of user error that could happen in transactions and things like that. But for the most part, a lot of gun shops, a lot of gun companies, like they don't make mistakes. It is kind of fascinating. It's the piece of the Second Amendment community that a lot of people don't understand because they don't see behind the curtain, you know?
Yeah, I mean, from going from the manufacturing from the FFL side over to the manufacturing side, just the amount of compliance that I didn't understand and learned. I was like, wow, we have to do what? We have to do this? Wait, okay, this lower is blend. We've got to destroy it. Oh, we got to fill out like 6 forms just to destroy this lower. Like,
Right. Yeah. It is pretty wild. I tell people all the time, it's like you got to understand, like, because I deal with a lot. I'm out in the front lines with a lot of gun ignorant people, right? Like everybody in behavioral health and mental health, not all of them are anti-gun. A lot of them are just gun ignorant, so they just don't understand how things work. And they're just like, well, there should be more regulations. I'm like, we're so regulated, like it's ridiculous. I mean, and I came up in a world, and anybody that worked at a manufacturer tells you, like, you could be Billy Badass about the ATF all you want, but when they come knocking at your door, because you know that they could shut you down, right? Like, that's not a hill you want to die on, especially if you have a factory with a lot of employees. You know, it's like you have to have a decent working relationship with this group, whether you agree with them or not, whether you want them abolished or you know what I mean, or you think they waste their time on it. It is what it is.
I 100% agree.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna. So let me ask you this question because I'm kind of curious. How do you and NSSF and NRA all play in the sandbox together? I mean, you don't have to throw. Yeah, I'm just like, how is that? You know, do you guys ever go after the same stuff? Are you ever opposed with each other?
I mean, yeah. I mean, because we as an organization want to restore the Second Amendment to 100%, like it was written by our founding fathers. So there are times that we oppose each other, but just recently, I mean, NSSF, SAF, I'm sorry, not NSSF, NRA, SAF, ASA have we all joined together to go fight for the big beautiful bill and suppressors and SBR. So we work together. We know their team. Um, you know, SAF hops on our lawsuits a lot of the time. FPC hops on our lawsuits a lot of the time. Um, there's a lot of things that we do that other organizations can have taken credit for, but also like that's the whole point. We want to see these wins. So, you know, if they're always hopping on lawsuits with us, and we're happy to work with them on everything and anything, just to make sure that we restore the Second Amendment to how the founding fathers intended.
Yeah, no, I love that. I always say like we fight amongst each other a lot in this industry. I see it, right? Like sometimes I think we're like crabs in a bucket. Like you could always look at a thread when it comes to the Second Amendment and people have totally different views. But I think it's always good for the big organizations when they can work together you know, because all these organizations, I mean, there's so much to cover. I mean, there's so many, there's so many crazy things that happen when it comes to 2A rights. And, you know, all the other stuff we do, right? Like think about us as a 2A community. Now you have like the Walk the Talk Americas and the Hold My Guns and you know the people that are kind of fighting the whole like suicide prevention in that space, right? And mental health space. And then, you know, you have all the people like you guys that are out there because we don't get into the policy thing. We can advise on stuff, but as you know, for who we are, we're not you guys. Like we're not fighting the fight. Like we're not throwing down the lawsuit and saying like let's get it on. Like you know this is just wrong. So it's good that we can kind of come together in many ways, especially when it looks like some of these organizations kind of compete for the same dollars. Yeah, I mean you think about all the stuff NSSF does, you think about all the stuff NRA does. You know the NRA in the past few years, I mean, that's probably another reason for your meteoric rise, right? Like some of the issues that they had. I don't know if you could speak on that or want.
I can't. We don't, as a GOA, we have a policy. We don't talk ill will about other organizations. So take that for what it is.
just just throw some head nods or some winks or not. No, but having said that, look, I see a lot of improvement from certain organizations, right? I think some organizations are going in the right direction now, but I think it's important that we all get in the right direction in the right space to defend the Second Amendment. You know, it is the most important amendment to me. Um, let's talk about goals. Uh, Last year, I attended your show not as like someone who was invited. It was kind of funny because a lot of people thought I was speaking at the show. Like they were like, "When do you speak?" And I was like, "I'm not. I'm just here." And the reason why I did that is because it was the inaugural one, and I really felt like it was special, and I wanted to be there for it. And I did a lot of media while I was there, right? Like people saw me walking around. Um, but let's talk about the show. Let's talk about like last year's. Let's do a little recap of what you thought, and then talk about where it's going in the future. Which I will be attending the show again. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, so Goals is our show. Like you said, last year was our inaugural show. It's a Gun Owners Advocacy and Leadership Summit. Last year we had like 175 vendors down in the main hall. We had like 100 something speakers, which was insane. So last year I was super pumped for it. We had a good turnout for it for our first year show. We had about 6,000 people show up to Knoxville, Tennessee. It was a good experience from my end, learning how to run a large convention like that. I've run some smaller shows in the past, but learning how to run a big convention like that, and there was some hiccups. I'm not gonna lie, there were some small things that we improved on, and going forward, like goals is, I'm hoping it becomes the premier fall show for everybody. It is the my goal when I got this kicked off, and uh, I pitched this in my interview with John Valecco and Eric, the industry guys. When I told them I was going to go interview with GOA, they're like, "When's GOA going to do a show? Because we really want another show or GOA to do a show." And I said that to them, and by December, we got the sign off of December of last year. We got the sign off for year one, and it was hit the ground running and planning the show. By the time we got it announced with all the contract signing with the convention center and everything like that, we had 6 months to plan a show that normally would take a year. So this year we had a full year to plan. We've cut back some of our speakers because that was a big complaint from last year, that we had the two stages running, and it caused some issues because people wanted to go see stage A but also stage B at the same time. We're up to 229 vendors this year and going. We've got if anybody's looking for a booth spot, we've got 3 booth spots left for the show. Um, but yeah, I'm super excited for this year. I've seen the growth. I've seen it. It is going to be earlier this year than last year. Last year we were around August 17th and 18th. This year we're August 9th and 10th. So we're a month out from the show as of today, 30 days until the show. Like I said, beautiful. It's going to be in beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee again. It is free to all GOA members. So we'd love to see you there. There's going to be a ton of big name speakers. Brandon Herrera's coming back. John Level's coming back. The list is on the website. I can't remember them all. We've got Barrett and SAR and EOTech and Glock, and all these bigger companies are starting to join in who were really hesitant the first year. But I want to get your opinion from being an attendee last year, because I didn't get to see it from that end.
Dude, I loved it, and I'll tell you why. Like I knew it was going to be smaller, right? Just because it's the first one. Like, so we all compare it to when you do the show circuit, it's kind of like you look at NRA show, you look at SHOT Show. But what I loved about your show was the energy of the people, and I loved how you guys kind of gave. There's a lot of content creators and influencers, and I loved how you guys like set up spaces for them to create content. I thought that was brilliant, right? Like the spinny thing, like like everyone's getting, like, I thought that was good. And I remember talking, I think I was talking to Pincus, and I was like, I think the show will grow every year. And the only question I had at the time was, when does it have to get out of Knoxville to go to a bigger space? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean that as a compliment, right?
Yeah.
Like, saying that I think it could make it into a place where, you might need a bigger venue. That's what I was thinking. So,
Well, I will say this. I told you about my flight issues. We were at a convention center yesterday to finally lock in for next year for our 50th anniversary. So what's different about our show, we are growing it small. It was small. We only had we have 120,000 square feet at Knoxville. It is, compared to some of the bigger shows, it is smaller. We're looking at it to go up about 40,000 square feet for next year. But what's different about our show is we're doing 2-year rotations. So it's not going to be every year it's in a different spot. It's 2-year rotation. So last year was the first year of the show. So people were like, I don't know, or hey, I wanted to make it, but I didn't get, I didn't see it until late. So I couldn't adjust my travel schedule. Well, hey, we came back to Knoxville for 1 more year. And it's going to be the same thing in the next place we go to, and then the next place we go to. And eventually we'll be in a large convention center in a pro gun area. I want to say that. But we'll be in a large convention center. And I love how we did it with, you mentioned the content creators, giving them space to do it. I took complaints from my side as an industry who's done a ton of shows as an industry person. I took those complaints and the complaints that I've heard from other people about other shows, and I go, okay, what do I want to do different? What can I do different to make everybody satisfied? So, yes, there is a media only portion of the show to help those guys get the content for the ROI for the vendors from the media side. Then I'm bringing in the general public. Hey, we know historically from events, and I know you've worked events, but Fridays are normally a dead day because either people are working or people are leaving to go. So going Friday as that small, not doing a Friday, doing a Saturday and Sunday, keeping the hours in mind for the vendors. Last year we went really long on Saturday. I got yelled at by Adam Renola and a bunch of other people. And Adam, if he's watching this, can make fun of me. I know. Next year, Adam, 24 hours straight, bro. So
Just bleed it into Sunday.
Yeah, those third shift guys, they need to come in and see these things. But no, we cut down the show hours a little bit. We cut down the number of speakers so that way they're all going to be on one stage this year. We still have our breakout rooms. We've added for students. If you're a college student, we've added a resume workshop, how to get into the gun industry. There's a lot of college students for that. We have a luncheon with Brandon Herrera for students to learn how to come into the gun industry. We've got a women's brunch happening Sunday. Friday night, we have dinner with John Level, and that's our fundraising dinner. So there'll be tons of auction items and cool things, and all those tickets. And then just the show itself being free to our members was a big thing. And if you're not a member, you show up, you pay your $25 at the door, and you get in for a whole week. That covers you for the weekend. You get the whole weekend. You come Saturday, Sunday, walk around, talk to vendors, go see them multiple times, go over to the stage and check it out. So it's really cool. I'm super super excited about year two. I'm super excited to see the growth, and you know give us a look. Come out and join us in Knoxville. It's centrally located for that reason because we want a bunch of people to come. It is the weekend, and it's a very family friendly event. We have a whole area dedicated to kids. We had two last year. We cut it down to one so we could open up some more floor space. But we have a Nerf gun training course and coloring books for the little kids, and it's 40 minutes from Gatlinburg, so you can make a whole vacation out of it. Like, we really focused on not only making it for the gun industry guys, but also for the families, for the general public to come and enjoy the whole weekend.
Yeah, I was impressed, and I knew it was crazy because there's been times when I've gone to shows and I'm like, this show's declining and it's going the wrong direction. And I feel like yours will only go up. And I want to get to some questions that are in the chat. But one thing I wanted to ask you too, is it true? I had heard this, but I never got a confirmation that there was a gun ban at the convention center, and you guys got that lifted
Yes.
last year. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so the Knoxville Convention Center was a gun-free zone, and the city of Knoxville actually has a ban on gun shows in the city, and we fought them, and we're like, okay. They tried some stuff this year, and we were like, cool, we'll move. And immediately they're like, no, we want you to stay. We'll lift everything. So yeah, that's the cool thing about our show. Concealed carry is really uh welcomed and encouraged at our show. Come in and conceal carry. Please leave it in your holster. I have to reiterate that. Unless it deems necessary. But concealed carries, we are very pro as a no compromise organization. We've made sure that this is one of the best shows that you can go to not only go see your favorite industry people, see the new guns, new product that they're launching out. I know like 30 or 40 companies are launching new products at our show. So if you want to see new products, you can go see them at the show. But not only that, you can learn from our speakers, listen to all the great speakers. Also, we have advocacy training. We have state by state meetups. So you can meet up with people from your state who are also GOA members. We have regional meetups as well. We had all but 3 states last year, and that was Alaska, and I want to say like Vermont, and there was one more, Oregon. It was Alaska, Vermont, and Oregon that didn't show up. We had several people from Hawaii, several people from Puerto Rico. Like, we want everybody to come to Knoxville, all our members, to this is a celebration of GOA and our members and our fight. And this helps raise money for our lawsuits throughout the year. And we've come learn how to start a grassroots effort in your state, listen to some of the great speakers. So I'm just going to keep selling it until you tell me to stop.
No, I love it. Yeah, and here's what I love. Like, for anybody that's thinking about attending, because there's so many things going on, like the vendors, the manufacturers, we have to be there for those hours, right? Like, open to close. But when you're at a show and they don't have anything else going on but the show, the booths sometimes are packed. And what I love about your show is it's still at that point where, because people are going to go watch speakers, right? Then you might get a little bit more FaceTime with, say, Canic. You know what I mean? Like, it is, that does make it convenient that there's all kinds of things going on. And it's not just, hey, everybody pack the floor during these hours. And, you do have moments like, I saw some genuine conversations, like literally between manufacturers and just regular civilians coming through, like talking about stuff, and there's a lot of celebrities that were there in our space, in the 2A community space, that are just there hanging out, being able to talk to people who are fans. I thought that was pretty cool too, right? Like, some of these people that we see on the YouTube channels and things like that, being able to have access to them to just be like, hey man, I love what you're doing. I follow you, and that type of thing. So I think you're doing all right, man. I think you guys are going to make it.
I am super. So that's the other thing. Like, talking to vendors after last year, that is the thing that people love. That, yes, we could have packed 70,000 people in the place, but the conversations that were had on the show floor, like I was talking to Rachel over at Night Vision, go by Night Vision Night Sights. I'm going to plug them because they're great people. I was talking to her and she goes, I genuinely enjoyed your show. And I go, what do you mean? Don't you enjoy like most shows? She goes, no, I don't enjoy all the shows, but I had genuine conversations with people that led to genuine talking points and things. It wasn't just somebody coming up to me and saying, you know what you should make. It's, hey, I really like your product. This is what I'm looking for. Do you make this? Or, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What are your recommendations? And those conversations is what truly builds the Second Amendment community. Having those one-on-one conversations with the manufacturer, being able to have an actual talking time. And yes, would I love 70,000 people there? Yes, I would love 70,000 people there. But also, like, if 10, 15,000 people show up and there's a good flow of people and the vendors are happy and you get to enjoy yourself, like that's what it's all about, is building a community and a grassroots army to go fight for the Second Amendment. And the manufacturers really enjoyed that whole point of our show.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I look forward to being there. Kevin, we had some questions in the chat. Let's just tackle some of those. Sorry guys, I've been wrapped up in the conversation, and let's.
Mike's been chatting away. He's been ignoring my messages.
I've been I've been out of the game so long. I'm excited to be back. So,
but we'll start out with Tovis's. I know we're coming up on an hour mark. Mike, you have your question, so we'll see where this goes and then go from there. Tovis is wondering, if you had unlimited funds, as I think every town suggests, what is the top thing you would do for gun policy?
Repeal the NFA completely. That's top. Top is repeal the NFA. Everybody should be able to have what, like the founding fathers said.
I can get with that. Yeah, I mean, think about. I think it's a lot of people suppressors are misunderstood, right? Like, I literally have this conversation once a week with people about suppressors, that are gun ignorant. They don't, they're just like, well, it's what assassins use. You know what I mean? And you're just like, oh God. But no, I agree with you. That's a good one. So what else we got, Kevin?
The next, I'll let you read it. You can maybe wink but Mike kind of alluded to it. Was there a lot of growth around this time that GOA saw? And you kind of mentioned like there was a lot of push in marketing. Do you think that was a big moment of growth because of that organization struggles, or was it just a kind of coincidence that GOA was also emerging and had a lot of opportunities?
I would attribute it to both. I mean, the other thing about GOA that's a little different than other orgs is we are a very young member base. And by young, I mean our average age is like our average age bracket is 25 to 35 with families. So we really are a younger demographic. So we're getting a lot of that younger crowd.
All right, question from me. What's next in the growth? Like you've had a successful event. What's on the horizon? You've teased that the event's going to be in a bigger location, but what else can you tell us about what's coming next?
The big thing right now is the lawsuit against the NFA is the big thing. The show is what it is. It brings in, and it's our biggest fundraiser of the year, so that's going to be a big talking point, and growing that as years come on is probably the next thing. But we have to stay true to our mission as well. So the show is part of our mission to bring our members in, to celebrate our members, to get the funds. But all the lawsuits that we put out also are a big part of our mission, and filing that lawsuit against the NFA, getting suppressors and SBRs off, and continuing to find fights throughout the U.S. to fight for. I mean, we've got a lawsuit in Illinois against the assault weapons ban. We've got a whole team, a dedicated team in California who is fighting for rights in California. We've got we're working on lawsuits in New York and New Jersey and all over the place. So there's a lot going on, but the big and better thing is make freedom ring, get everybody on the same page for guns. And again, there's also, we've got the national reciprocity stuff that we've got to fight for. There's so many things going on that they're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's never going to stop. It's kind of funny. Like, I think the attitude was like, hey, Trump won. We can all relax now. You know what I mean? Like and it just, you can't, now's the time to actually push forward and get things accomplished, whether it's just fighting, feel good legislation that won't save any more lives, or, you know, becoming the leaders in mental health, right? Which the firearms industry can actually become the leaders in mental health in that space. We just got to go. We can't just say like, oh, we got the person that, we believe is super pro gun in office that's going to protect us, because he doesn't. He hasn't proven. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things he's done, but we can all point to situations where he's missed the mark on this. So the fight is real. It has to keep continue.
I said this on election night, and I'm going to continue to preach this. We as a community, when we get a House majority, a Senate majority, and a president, we tend to sit back. And we also see this not only on the policy side, but from the industry side too. Uh, and I know everybody's budgets are tight and we're still coming out of the hyperinflation that we had. But also, guys, we can't sit idle. We have to be pushing these senators and congressmen to do what they promise. Midterms are coming up. We have to win the midterms. We can't go in and lose that again, because if we continue to fight and push and go, now is our time to tell our elected officials to go, listen, we elected you because this is one of the issues that we really want. And I know that the senators and congressmen and their constituents, there's multiple issues, but if you're in the 2A space, if you're in the 2A community, now is the time to contact them. We have a form on our website. It takes 30 seconds to fill out. It's an autofill. You fill in your name, it's already filled. If you want to type something out, the other thing you can do is call their office. We have a phone line for their office. We have that listed. But be polite. That's my biggest thing. Be polite, be respectful, but let your elected officials know we want a full restoration of our Second Amendment. Also, go out there and support the companies that support GOA who are fighting for the restoration, because without their support, we can't do what we do. So go support them. Buy a box of ammo. Buy that. Same thing with your local FFLs. They're hurting right now, guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The industry is hurting because there are people not buying it. There's no fear like we had with the COVID. There's no fear like we had with the Obama bun. But go out and spend a little money at your local FFL. Spend a little money with them. We Without them, we may see another like we did in after the Obama rush. We might see FFLs go out of business because go in there and go spend the money. If it's a little bit more for something, just if you want them to be there for a while, go do it. And I'm really encouraging everybody not only contact your senator and congressman, but also, help out the industry guys too.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that. As somebody who was on that side, we always said the dog days of summer. Summer was always bad, but this summer has been really bad, right? Because of just everything coming out of the last administration and where we were financially, as a country. It just seems like it's the pressure is on a lot of companies these days. But summer's notoriously bad. People aren't shooting. They're doing stuff with their families on the weekend. So I like that. Be cognizant that these local shops still need support, and some of these manufacturers still need support, because the last thing we need is this community to shrink. But Kevin, anybody else had a question that we should tackle?
No, I had a question, kind of, Mike, for people that don't understand, why can't Walk the Talk be active in lobbying that might not understand? Like, why can't we do the same things GOA does? Like, what are the differences?
Well, just because of the way we're set up and what we're doing, we technically cannot. We can advise on things, right? But I've given that, I've offered that to John, and maybe as time goes on, we can help look at things and make arguments, but we just really can't be involved in a political fight. Like, we're never going to be somebody who's throwing down a lawsuit to stop. I always call it feel good legislation, right? Like, we all know it's feel good legislation. We're doing something, like we're making a rule that's not going to save anybody's lives, but it just like helps us make it look like we're doing something. So that is the main issue there. We are a 501c3 that deals. We have to. I think one of our strengths is kind of how we're able to navigate both sides. We're able to walk in those rooms, whereas just GOA walks into a room, there's going to be some people that get super uncomfortable or angry. All right, Walk Talk America can navigate every room because of our solution based. John's out there trying to knock down dumb shit. Like, that's really what you're doing. You know what I mean? And just like you're not going to start doing mental health solutions, like we have different lanes, and that's what makes this thing whole beautiful. But in the future, I hope that we can assist GOA in some of the arguments you make for some of the lawsuits. Because every time I read a bill or I see feel good legislation, my mind always reads it as, how does it stigmatize mental health, and how does it screw over the underprivileged, underserved communities, right? And that's how I'm trained to look at it and look for the faults in those bills. Whereas like a lot of people, I think, just look at things as black and white, like Second Amendment. No, you're not going to do that. I look at the consequences that kind of go deeper. I look at it the other way, because most people that write legislation and write these goofy bills don't think of the unintentional consequences. They don't think about how this thing will affect a group of people, or it will stigmatize mental health, or it'll prevent somebody from getting care. So that's the way I look at it. But like I said, I think we all need to work together. And if there's anything, John, that we could ever do for you guys, if you come across something where you're getting involved and there is a mental health angle, or a suicide angle, like, I think, hopefully we'll be the first ones you guys think of to call.
Oh, you're always the first person I think of to call every time.
Perfect.
And But
That's what I want to hear.
yeah. So here's the other difference between GOA and Walk the Talk America. We have a 501c3, which is Gun Owners Foundation, which is our fundraising to our foundation arm, and then we have GOA proper, which is a 501c4. So that's why we're able to lobby and do stuff the way we're set up.
Yeah, it is what it is, and that's the way that I when I first got into this, I was told by the attorneys, you cannot get involved in policy. Like that is not your thing. So I know my role, but like I said, we can advise on things, and we can say hey, this bill will hurt people this way. So that's how we have to look at it. Kevin, you got anything else?
No, I think it's time for your ending question that every guest gets.
Absolutely. So, John, how do you tend to your mental health?
There's a number of ways. I am in the industry, so caffeine, nicotine, and hate is what really makes me go. And that helps with my mental health. No, I do things around the house to help do things. Got into uh, baseball card collecting because I wanted something to help with that. I do the YouTube channel on the side to help with my mental health. It brings me really much joy because I can go out and shoot new products and do things. Um, the other thing is just I play a lot of college football just to help with just to wind down and enjoy things. It's the small things too, walk the dog, go work out, do those things. But the big thing is just just finding avenues to when I'm stressed to just go out and not addictive at habits, but just go out and just do things to help with my mental health or even during a stressful day, just taking that 5-10 minutes to just relax and take a deep breath and look at the bigger picture. Today's stresses are today's stresses. Tomorrow is a new day, and always looking at it from that perspective of, you know, you can't always win them all. You gotta go into it. You're especially planning a show. You can't always win them all, but to find a way to decompress and de-stress throughout the day is really healthy. But again, like I said, caffeine, nicotine, and hate is what the industry runs on. So I that's a big, big thing.
No, that's awesome. So tell everyone where they can find you. I want to hear everything too, like the show, all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
where,
So first and foremost, if you want to go attend the goals convention, go to gunowners.org/goals. There are tickets going to be available at the door, but we recommend that you pre-register to help you cut through the line faster, just to get your ticket faster and go through. For the podcast, it's the State of the Second podcast. That's the GOA podcast. We talk to industry leaders about things. We recently just had Mantis on. That episode just dropped today. But we also have episodes with Pete Brownell, Jamin McCollum from PSA, Cameron Tapler from PSA, Ton Jones, who I know uh, great time with him. Go check that out. If you like gun reviews and you want to see my tiny little YouTube channel, it's called Fully Loaded Reviews. You can find it on YouTube. You got to type it all out, Fully Loaded Reviews. That's me and Kurt doing our thing. We've got some cool videos coming out for the channel with a bunch of, I've literally have like 6 guns sitting around me off camera that are either not launched yet or are in process of being reviewed, and super fun about that. We just launched a video 2 weeks ago with Dyra Arms on their new Island barrel, and then that's really where you can find us. Oh, and if you want to donate to GOA, go to gunowners.org. There's a donate thing. If you want to contact your senator and congressman, same thing, gunowners.org. I really encourage you to come to Goals, and I will be there walking around. So if you see me, stop me and say hi.
yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I think this has been long overdue. We've been talking about this like since SHOT Show, so I'm kind of glad that we made it happen. So, um, And I will see you shortly. I will see you in a few weeks in
30,
Knoxville.
30 days, my friend. I leave for Knoxville in 23 days, and I'm trying to still decide, do I drive all the way to Knoxville from Arizona or do I fly? After the debacle last night with my flights, think I might drive it now.
You're a bigger man than I am. I would take my chances on a flight, man. I can't imagine driving across that. That seems like a very long drive, unless I was in some kind of like tour bus. So, all right, everybody. I thank you for tuning in. I think this has been an awesome episode. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of what you guys do. I want to thank all of our sponsors for making this possible. I want to thank the Rugers, the Arms Corps. I mean, none of that. We couldn't have done this without you. The Davidsons, the Lipsies, everybody that's contributing. I know I'm missing a bunch of people, but thank you. And until the next time, we wish you better mental wellness.